When Ben 10 premiered on Cartoon Network in December 2005, it did not just drop another action cartoon onto our screens. It redefined what a kids sci-fi series could be. While later iterations expanded the universe, the original series remains iconic for its character-driven storytelling, innovative world building, and perfect balance between fun and meaning. But why did this particular version of Ben 10 hit so hard? And why does it still hold up nearly 2 decades later? I know Ben 10 is that one cartoon where a lot of people have grown up to love. The way it introduced the Omnitrix and the transformation of different aliens. Something like that was revolutionary to what cartoons are doing right now. Even though there are a lot of spin-offs, reboots, and sequels, it will never hold up to what Ben 10, the original series. The fantasy at its core was every child's dream. At the heart of Ben 10 was the Omnitrix, a watch-like alien device that allowed a 10-year-old boy to transform into powerful aliens. But more than that, it was a metaphor for childhood power fantasies. Kids were not just watching Ben be a hero, they were imagining themselves as Heat Blast, Accelerate, Forearms, and Diamond Head. Each transformation was unique, different powers, personalities, and designs, but still catered to Ben's voice and experience. The aliens were not overpowered either. They came with time limits, malfunctions, and real consequences. That unpredictability is what made the fantasy feel real, cool, but never invincible. What a lot of people can understand about Ben 10, it was not just any kids cartoon with simple elementary with nothing to be understood. When you're watching Ben 10, there are some episodes that are connecting, and whatever happens in the last episode can be consequence to the next episodes. And we liked how the aliens function in that world, where in an episode of Ben 10 we can see more like 4 or 5, and a lot of people have their own opinions on which aliens was the coolest or was the strongest. It was written smarter than most shows for kids. What makes the original Ben 10 so special in hindsight is how intelligently it was written without losing its accessibility. Ben starts the series as immature, selfish, and prone to abusing the Omnitrix for attention. But over time, we watch him grow. He becomes a matured kid. Over time, he starts making tough decisions, choosing to save lives even when it's hard. This shift is not peachy, it's gradually and believable. The series tackled responsibility and ethics in a way that felt organic. Ben was not always right. Gwen and Grandpa Max challenged him consistently, creating a dynamic that taught viewers to question, not just follow. Even the villains had the Vilgax was not just a monster, he was terrifying because he believed in his own conquest. Vilgax was that other character in the Ben 10 universe where when you heard his name you knew that something was going to go down. This is one thing a lot of people, especially a lot of people who grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s. Villains nowadays, they don't have the right motive of why they are chasing the main protagonist. Just like Kevin 11, a twisted reflection of Ben, represented what happens when power corrupts and pain is left unchecked. Right now, I wanna tackle this Ben 10 deep dive, but I feel like in the following episodes or whatever season, I'm gonna be talking about the character of Kevin 11. Kevin 11 is like Ben, but without the guidance of family. Kevin 11 was alone from the beginning, as we can see in the original series, where he would still live underground. No rules, does whatever he wants. But with Ben, he has Grandpa Max and Gwen who challenge him to become a better person. If Ben grew up without the shoulder of Grandpa Max and the assistance of Gwen, he could have been the most dangerous person in the world. That's what happens when power comes to a non-responsible person. It makes you twisted, it makes you sick. So yeah, I don't want to tackle that Kevin thing right now. The sci-fi lore was legit. Unlike many other shows of the time that flirted with science fiction, Ben 10 embraced it. It built an entire galactic mythology, complete with alien races, intergalactic politics, plumbers, and pocket dimensions. And yet, it never overwhelmed the viewer. Everything was layered in slowly, rewarding long-term fans while keeping the show accessible to newcomers. The show did not talk down to kids. It trusted them to follow concepts like DNA manipulation, alien heritage, and parallel timeline. That's why Ben 10 could later evolve into Alien Force and automate Alien without breaking its own law.
Did it.
The trio of Ben, Gwen, and Grandpa Max made the show feel grounded. Ben brought heart and humor, while Gwen brought intelligence and sarcasm. When Grandpa Max is bringing wisdom, history, and surprising depths, that's when you know this is more than a kid's cartoon. It just becomes a more mature cartoons. It's amazing what Cartoon Network used to do in the early 2000s and the early 2010s. They did not force you to understand. They just showed you their dynamic to a point of where when you're watching and you could relate if you have a family or you don't have a family. It's a thing of like waking up on a Saturday morning and just watching Ben 10 and feeling like, would this happen to me if I was on a road trip with my family? I'm just speedballing here. Their road trip dynamic, cruising in the Rust Bucket across the country, made every episode feel like a new summer adventure. It created a sense of freedom and wonder, like anything could happen around the next corner. They did not always get along, and that was the point. Their banter felt real and their affection felt and aesthetic sound and early 2000s edge. Visually, Ben 10 had a sharp, angular art style that stood out. Green was its signature color, but was also grit. The show did not shy away from darker palettes or moodier tones, and that helped sell its more serious. The sound design was also iconic. The Omnitrix beep 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 zzz. The transformation sequence zip 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 zip. The alien voices unique to each form. You got Diamond Head, you got Heat Blast, you got Accelerate, you got Cannonball. Amazing, just amazing. The opening theme was also an instant classic, the kind that stuck in your head and made you want to shout out when. I'm about to go off. It started with an alien device. What it did. Ben 10. Ben 10. Yeah, I mean, the theme song also rocks. The theme song rocks so much. Even the cliches and static transactions gave the show a tech-heavy vibe, adding texture that made it stand out against the smoother animation of its competitors. It was that show in the early 2000s, specifically 2005, where you seriously appreciate the art style. The way that the art style of Ben 10 made it. Every alien had a smoother texture and a detail that if you look back at it, you could see a lot of texture, and you'd be amazed that this thing came out 2 decades ago. That's amazing. That's super amazing. It let the audience grow with it. One of the most brilliant things about Ben 10 was how it aged with audiences. By the time Alien Force premiered in 2008, the kids who watched the original were in their early teens and Ben was now 15. The stakes were higher, the tone was more serious, and the themes were more complex. It gave fans a feeling of growth, like they were part of something ongoing, part of a legacy. Not many cartoons dare to let their protagonists grow up in real time. Ben 10 did, and it paid off. Ben 10, it became an anime-like, and as I said it, this is a cartoon-only channel. If you find my anime channel, big ups to you, but yeah, this is my cartoon-only channel. And one thing I could like about anime is that the character grows over time, not just physically but emotionally, to a point where there are some animes like the One Piece that started in the 1999s, now to 2025, and you can see even the appearances of Luffy and the gang have matured. And that's one thing that brings people to this action. Like, doesn't have to be anime like, but the story, you can tell that this character has grown. And that's one thing we like about the original. The reboot, I have not even laid a hand because I've watched it and I did not resonate with it because I'm much older now. I'm in my 20s, and I feel like these new Cartoon Network shows are not made for mature audiences, they're made for younger audiences. But even if it's made for the younger audiences, they are no longer those cartoons where you have to watch and try to understand. It's just background noise. While in the early mid 2000s and the 2010s, you were watching Adventure Time, even though it was a background noise, some episodes were like filler, you could actually resonate with how Finn was maturing towards himself, how Jake told this wise lessons like a wise grandpa, even though Jake was also young. If you think about it, it was not just watched, it was lived. If you were a kid in the mid 2000s, Ben 10 was not just a show, it was a movement. There were toys, video games, lunchboxes, costumes, comic books, and TV movies. Which, the live action sucked so much. Another story for another time. Kids debated which alien was best at recess. People wore fake Omnitrix to school. This was one thing. As a kid, I love being kids. Kids have the widest imagination. I remember when I was a kid, maybe 10, 11, I saw this Omnitrix at the shopping mall and I wanted it. Like, that's so much I wanted it, because I thought if I have it, I could become one of those aliens. That's how much being a kid rose. You have this imagination that anything is so possible, that when you grow up, that imagination is gone. There are some people who are very jealous. They have the creative mind to make things happen. That's what happens when you're being young. And I saw this kid who had it, and I went to him, started hating that Omnitrix, and nothing happened. And that's when I understood. I'm like, oh damn, it's a cartoon. So for a brief moment, being Ben Tennyson was as big as being a Power Ranger or Spider-Man, and everybody knows Power Rangers fed generations of generations. Every decade, in that same decade, there is a Power Ranger movement that kids loved it. Mine was the Power Ranger Samurai, which amazing work. Or Spider-Man, I thought if I get bit by a spider, I'll be able to do these amazing things. That kind of cultural imprint does not happen by accident. It happens when a show gives kids something to believe in, and Ben 10 delivered exactly that. The original Ben 10 was special because it hit all the sweet spots. Imaginative, wise fulfillment, solid, evolving characters, real stakes wrapped in fun animation, a universe that invited you in and dared you to stay. It was more than a cartoon, it was an experience, one that kids could dream about, go up with, and now look back on with a sense of awe. It was scary, smart, mercy, and heroic. It was Ben 10, and it still holds up. I'm your boy, and that's it for today. Tell me down in the comments. Tell me down in the comment section and hit the subscribe button and the like button, and we out.